Okay, since I split this video up into two parts, my original intro was in the first video, so now here is my second part intro, I guess. Filmed like a month later, but that's fine. Hey y'all, what's up? It's Coach Mara. Welcome back. I realized when editing this video, it was originally going to be one video because I was really determined, but I talked for a really long time. So I decided to veto that idea and split it into two. And if you saw part one, it'll literally just pick off right where we left off in part one. So let's cut to that right now. Editing Mara.
Next day, I'm running out of days in my brain. I don't know when we did what, but at some point we decided, we're like, okay, we've spent a lot of time at the beach, we spent a lot of time at the pool, so why don't we like venture out, go to a market. And Megan and I really wanted to go to a market because I wanted to buy jewelry for myself and for my mom, and so did Megan. So we decided, we're like, okay, so we have to take a COVID test, like a PCR test, at least 72 hours before our connecting flight to Canada, which happened to be the day we were going out. So it's like, that's perfect, let's do it in the morning and then we'll leave. So we get to the PCR test place, $91 US, redonkulous, but there was no one there and it was really easy. And all the gal did literally was like, okay, so luckily I didn't go first, Megan went first. She gave us no warning. We sat down in our chairs and we were like, okay. And she took a swab and she was like, Megan, she was like, yes. And then literally jammed it up her nose, like no warning, no whatsoever. And to basically where it touches her brain. And she took it out and Megan was like dying, coughing, like, oh my God, what just happened? And then I was watching this, I was like, oh, okay, good to know. So I was like mentally prepared. And then she like freaking jammed it up my nose. It was uncomfortable, but we were both negative, thank goodness. But that was fine and dandy. So then we left the hotel, like officially, because the testing place was a part of the hotel. We left the hotel and Megan was like, okay, so we need to take a bus from here to here. It's the easiest way to get there. And I'm like, okay, cool. I have no idea how Mexican buses work at this point. I was like, okay, sure. We heard from our Massachusetts friends that it was 12 pesos, which is like 35 cents, to take the bus. And so we're like, okay, we at least know we have to take 12 pesos. The thing about Mexican buses, number one, I don't know how there hasn't been like fatal car crashes everywhere when driving in Mexico, period, not even just a bus, because they are insane. You couldn't pay me enough to drive there. No turn signals, no nothing. You just like freaking zoom 75 miles an hour, like going past. Wow. Anyway, so the buses are like basically like ginormous taxis. And you hail one, you know, like in New York City, you like put your finger out and you like whistle or something. You hail a bus that you need. You hop on like within 20 seconds or else he is leaving without you. And you pay him. And I took a video because I thought it was really cool. They have this like wooden box and all of the coins are separated into rows of different denominations. And then you give him your money. And while he's driving, in peak traffic, by the way, and like dodging pedestrians, he's giving you change. He's sorting coins and giving you change. And then you sit down. It's very nice. It's very well organized. And the bus is a stick shift, which I have also never seen. It was a huge stick shift connecting to the ground, and the bus is a stick shift, which was kind of cool. And so you sit on the bus and we had to go quite a ways, and it was just beautiful. Like, we were driving in the hotel district, and if you've ever been to Cancun, you kind of have a sense of what I'm talking about. Like, it's a beautiful spot because it's right by the ocean when you drive past, but it's not the real deal. Like, it's not Mexico. It's like the gentrified Mexico, which is lovely, and I have no problem with it, but it was just like, to put it into perspective, not the most authentic, realistic Mexican experience, but still interesting. So we were driving for a long time, and then Megan told the bus driver when we got on, She asked him, like, hey, we want to go here. We want to go to this market, Market 28, which is like the more touristy market. And she asked him, like, let us know when we should get off. And the bus literally stopped in the middle of the street, like to the right, pulled to the right. But literally in the middle of the street, it was like 20 feet from a stoplight. And he's like, oh, this is it, get out. I was like, no bus stop, no nothing, no nothing. Get out. And I was like, okay. So we got out and we were walking around, and I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe it was like, I was expecting more of like if you've ever been to Vancouver, like Granville Island Market, where it's like an enclosed area where there's a lot of vendors inside, but it was indoors and you could walk around. That's what I was expecting. I was incorrect. I was incorrect. There is like, we walked there and we're like, this looks like it. And a woman, she was so smart. She was so smart. The business major in me was like, man, you are so smart. She came up to us, because obviously we looked confused, and obviously we don't look like we belong. So she comes up to us and she's like, oh, hello, ladies. Talks to us in perfect English. Hello, ladies, are you looking for Market 28? And we're like, yes, yeah, we are. So we assumed she wasn't wearing a brand, she wasn't wearing a logo, she wasn't wearing anything. It was just a white t-shirt and a pair of shorts. She looked like a local. And she was like, oh, come this way. And she takes us through these doors, and about halfway, I was like, oh, this is so nice. Like, wow, it's so friendly. People in Mexico are so nice. And then halfway through, I get there, and we're being led through this maze of a store. And it's like giant, like a superstore kind of thing. And she sits us down at this one table. And I'm kind of looking at Megan, and I'm like, what is going on? And Megan was trying to figure it out too. She was like, I don't really know. She was selling us tequila. And so we started the day. This was like 11:30 in the morning. And she's like, what kind of tequila do you like? I was like, what do you mean? And so she pulled out strawberry, pineapple, mango, tequila, like delicious tequila. And she started pouring shots. And it's 11:30 in the morning. And I was like, well, obviously I can't say no now, because that would be rude. That would be rude. So I, the gracious and gullible customer that I didn't buy any, but I was gullible in this scenario. I took them and I drank them. They were delicious. The strawberry one was my favorite. And then we finished them and we're like, thank you very much. And then we got up and left. And no harm, no foul. I have never seen direct-to-consumer marketing done so efficiently than I did in Mexico. Because that whole experience was like, I didn't even know I was being marketed something until it was actually in my face. It was genius. Ugh. So then we left that little superstore contraption and then left and went down down this one road to like a bunch of markets, like vendors that were on the side of the road. And I've never received such lovely compliments. It was so nice because we didn't go when it was busy, which probably was a bad thing, but also a good thing because we didn't get anything stolen. But there was no one in front of us, no one behind us. So all of the vendors were kind of bored, which means all of their attention was on us. And we were walking past. I was wearing like long shorts, a baggy shirt. Like I didn't look exactly like fashionista, like super hot. Megan looked better than I did, but it was like, oh, she always looks better than I do. Anyways, so we were walking down and so many lovely compliments. My angels, would you like anything? Please come in, it's nice and air conditioned for you, my Canadian goddesses. I don't know how they figured out we were Canadian. I didn't have anything on my bag that said I was Canadian. I guess they just assumed. Maybe we were talking about Canada, I don't know. But it was so interesting. It was so interesting. And eventually we made it into this one store because Megan wanted to see something. I was like, oh, okay. We go in and there's this jewelry store attached. So it's like a giant superstore of like tchotchkes, which is what I call them, is like little travel things, like keychains, sunglasses, t-shirts, like that kind of stuff. Tchotchkes. No, t-shirts not so much. Tchotchkes are like little pointless things. So like little things of Cancun sand. Tchotchke. Anyway, so then we're like walking through, and then we see there's a jewelry store attached, and we're like, oh, okay, let's go in and see. The main store was air conditioned to an extent, but it was still kind of muggy. Like you could feel your sunscreen. Like if you went like this, your hand would stick. So it was still kind of muggy in there. So we were like, okay, we hit the jewelry store and it is blasted with air conditioning, which was lovely. So we stayed in there for a while, and I was meandering around, minding my business, and me as a like very, it's what my mom likes to call South Africa mode, because my family's South African. Because when you're in South Africa, there's a lot of people, like just chock-a-block filled with people. So if you're not aware of your surroundings and you're not aware of what's going on around you and who's behind you, who's to the side of you, you're going to lose track of your stuff. It's just the way it is. So she calls it South Africa mode. So when I was in Mexico, it was like South Africa mode was like on all the time. I was constantly aware of who's around us, what is going on. And so when I walked in, I immediately recognized there was like, okay, there were two Americans like haggling at the gals behind the counter. And then there were 4 salesmen that were just meandering around. And so I knew one of them was going to come up to us. I just didn't know which one. And eventually one came up to both of us. Perfect English, and was trying to sell us. Anytime I touched something, he would automatically give me the price. He didn't give me like, oh, that's a lovely piece. Like, he didn't try and sell me. He tried to give me the price as in like, oh, that's going to be like the determining factor. Like, that's what's going to make her buy it. And it's like, not really, because most of it wasn't very good, like price-wise. The pieces themselves were very good, but the shopping experience is something that I wasn't used to. The only way I could describe it was there was a lot of input, constantly. And they were all very nice, but here's the problem with knowing Spanish, then losing Spanish, then having a little bit of Spanish. I can understand Spanish and most languages better than I can speak them, which is so frustrating to be in, because when you are in a situation where you can understand the conversations around you, but you can't actually contribute anything, it becomes very frustrating. So I was looking at a ring, and it's a beautiful ring. I have it in my room, but I just don't feel like getting it. I was looking at this ring, and I was like, you know what? I like it so much. I've come back to it like 3 times. I'm going to buy it. Great. Megan also found a ring. Very different, but very pretty. And she was like, no, I really like this one. I'm going to buy this one. And so we were like, okay, great. Before this, we'd talked about it, and our Massachusetts friends had told us, like, you need to haggle. Like, don't take the first price that they give you, or else you're going to get, like, royally screwed and royally ripped off. So we're like, okay, so we need to haggle. And the man obviously told us what they were priced at in US dollars, not pesos. Megan and I both had US dollars and pesos. So that was one thing. I had more US dollars than I did pesos, which was an interesting predicament I found myself in, but that's okay. So we went to pay, and the business major in me, I was like, okay, I've never haggled for anything. I've never bought a car. I've never had to negotiate anything. Like, this was first time haggling ever. So I was like, okay, let's see what happens. And he tells us, what? Oh, he said something ridiculous. Like, for both rings, 140 US dollars. And I said, absolutely not. That's ridiculous. I said, I will give you 70 US dollars for both. And he was like, what? Well, you must be the business savvy one, because Megan didn't say anything. And I was like, I didn't say anything either. I just looked at him. I'm like, okay. And he's like, he looked at me for a minute, and he was like, okay. And he's like, all right, deal. And then Megan said, like, no, I want to pay for mine separately. Don't know why, but whatever. She wanted to pay for hers separately, so then I had to haggle my own, and she haggled for her own. I eventually got him down. Individually, my ring was worth like 90 US dollars. And I was like, absolutely not. I'm not paying 90 US dollars. I should have said 60, but I ended up saying 70. because I felt bad. There was no one else in the store. And I was like, oh, well, let's go with 70, see what he says. And he didn't give me any resistance. He was like, okay, deal. So I should have gone 60, but whatever. A very interesting business experience. So back to the thing that I was saying about like not being able to understand, not being able to speak, but I can understand it better. At least what's happening around me. So after I bought my ring, I was just wandering the rest of the store. And at this point, I think more people were coming onto the shift at the store. And there was an old lady who was there when I bought my ring, who didn't help me. It was more of a young man that helped me. But the old lady was there, and she was talking to, obviously, a girl that had just come on to the floor for her shift to start, and giving her an update of what's going on. And I could understand what she said, and she said to the younger girl that was coming on shift, she said, this girl is from Canada. She's looking for something for her mother, because I told it to this salesman earlier. I was like, I'm looking for something for my mom. He was like, oh, look at that. And I had previously picked up something, and I went back to it once more, but I was like, no, I don't think she'll like it. And so the old woman was informing her, she's looking for something for her mother, so push our expensive products to her. Because she knows I didn't haggle enough when I was buying my ring, and she knows I'm still looking for something, so push more. Like, just keep pushing. And I swear, the strength it has you have to have to leave that kind of establishment where there's like 5 people offering you products, offering you, and deals and sales, and but what, we'll give you an extra 20% off if you stay, like, really intense. It was so difficult to actually leave that environment and just be left alone. Because when Megan and I both eventually left, we both got outside and we both, okay. Just a lot of input, constantly, just a lot of input. Eventually we came back into that initial store where we tried to get sold to tequila. And I had lost my sunglasses, so I bought a pair of sunglasses for $2. They're great sunglasses, by the way. I still use them. I bought sunglasses, and I bought Mexican Coca-Cola because I was determined. I was like, I'm in Mexico. I love Coca-Cola normally. So I'm like, man, while I'm here, I would be stupid not to buy a can of Coke. So I bought a can of Coke, and Megan filmed my reaction to it, but she accidentally filmed it as a slow motion. And my face is really funny. So if I can get it from her, I'll play it. But, oh my gosh. That was kind of life-changing too. I will say, it didn't taste, because for those that don't know, Mexico, there's not a lot of refined white sugar. Like white sugar that we have in Canada or the US, really refined, not very natural sugar. Mexico doesn't have a lot of that. They have a different kind of sugar. I don't remember what it's called, but it's less refined. It's less processed chemically. And it tastes less sweet overall. And that's what Mexican Coca-Cola is made of, apparently. And so when I tasted it, I was like, oh my God, this is life-changing. It was so good. And I remember we were sitting outside, and we were sitting on a rock because we were trying to get away from anyone trying to sell us something. And we were looking into the market because that's just the way we were facing. And we watched an entire mariachi band, complete with a singer and backup, instrumentalist, the whole thing, big dress. It was beautiful. And they started playing mariachi music in this restaurant that was across the way. And she and I were just sitting there and we're like, wow, we're living the life. It was a great experience. But yeah, the most intense shopping I think I've ever done. Because it was I wanted to keep shopping, but at the same time, I really didn't, because I really wanted to leave. Because I got very overwhelmed. It's okay. It was a good experience. And I love that ring. So yeah. And then we went back to the hotel and had a great time by ourselves, went to dinner. Yeah, it was great. And then the next night we went, yeah. So Megan and I didn't want to go to clubs because going to clubs was dangerous for our return home. So we're like, okay, there's a hotel bar, which is true. There were many bars, but the bars at the hotel, this was the other thing I've noticed while I was there. Again, so many interesting business things while I was over there. Such a tangent, but when the first few days we were there, I ordered drinks for us, and I was watching the bartender make our drinks, and it was such an interesting experience because I was watching him, and he was making a margarita, and they didn't shake them. They made them like one glass, and they just poured things into it and then mixed it. They didn't shake it really. Some of them were blended. A few of them were blended, but I don't really remember. Anyways, this one had whole ice cubes. They didn't blend it. Whatever. So that gets to the always pour your most expensive alcohol last. That's how you make drinks normally for bartending. And so they poured everything else, and then they got to the most expensive alcohol, which is the tequila. And the glass is sitting on the counter. So here's the counter. Do I have a glass? No, I don't have a glass. Damn it. The glass is like right here. And I see this man literally take a bottle of tequila, which is very full, and just pour for like 5 seconds. Just no measuring, none whatsoever. Just kept pouring until it got to like the very, very top. I was shocked. I thought I was going to drink that and I was going to be knocked out. I was incorrect. Because I'm pretty sure that most of the bars on the hotel, so the ones that were by the pool, by the beach, and there's another one. There's another bar somewhere else, I don't remember. Anyways, the bars that weren't like the main bar at the hotel were watering down their alcohol with simple syrup. So it's not actually as much alcohol as you think they're pouring. Because in Canada, if a bartender goes like this for like 5 seconds, you're like, holy shit, I'm not going to remember tomorrow kind of thing. I unfortunately did. No, I'm kidding. I did remember tomorrow because they were watering down their alcohol with simple syrup. Thank God, because I was like, man, their alcohol bill must be absolutely astronomical. If how much they're pouring for one drink, like 5 seconds, that's a lot. No, not actually, but that's irrelevant. So we get to the actual bar, like the main bar at the hotel, and every night they would have this singer who was basically just like not like lip singing, but like karaoke. She would have like a digital like backtrack, and she would just sing over top of it. She was lovely, but it was like not that special. So we're like, why don't we just go there, and like there's a big floor around where she was singing, where the bar was. So we're like, why don't we just go there and we dance? So we put on like cute outfits and went there, had a few drinks, not watered down, because this was the main bar. The real stuff was over here. So we went there and we started dancing. And it was so much fun because she was singing. The night was apparently like Latin music, because the previous nights were like Western music, like Uptown Funk. I was like, I don't really want to dance to that. But this was Latin music and Latin like top hits. So Megan and I started dancing. I am a huge dancer. I love dancing. Megan was a huge dancer. Like, she loved doing it. She was in ballet for a long time, but we both quit at different points. She lasted longer than I did. But I love dancing in like a casual environment. Megan, not so much. She doesn't like it when you change up steps or like feel the music kind of thing and just go with the flow. She doesn't like that, which is fair. But I like dragged her on the dance floor. I'm like, come on. So we were the first group to start dancing. And then after that, the entire night, apparently, everyone at that bar was dancing with each other. It was lovely. So we were only there for a little bit, but we started dancing. It was fun. We had a good time. We were both a little bit tipsy, but not enough to be like totally blackout drunk. But it was so nice. And it was such like a positive memory in my mind. I loved that moment. So we did that, and then we come off the dance floor, and then a few songs later, we were ready to leave and go meet our Massachusetts friends because they wanted to hang out and drink a little bit. So we're like, okay, we'll come and meet you guys. They're at the pool. We'll come meet you. So we were literally about to go, and then this Mexican man comes up to me in perfect Spanish and asks me to dance. Me, not Megan. I was like, sure. And this song that was playing, it was a salsa. I remember, because she said salsa time. I was like, okay, it's salsa time. I grew up watching like Dancing with the Stars. I was like obsessed with Dancing with the Stars when I was a kid. And ballroom dancing and all of that. That was my thing. I was so excited. So me, thinking I was fairly educated on the subject, I was like, okay, a salsa. I know how to do a salsa. I can do that. I don't know if this is a thing. Like in Latin America, those of you that are from there, can you just like please let me know? Is there like a set routine that is like taught to you guys when you're young? Because when I was watching everyone on the dance floor, everyone had like the same set of dance moves and they were doing the same kind of routine, but it looked so smooth and effortless. So I was like, no way did they rehearse this beforehand. Like it must be like a cultural thing, like that I obviously don't have because I'm not from there. Someone please let me know because I'm confused. Not confused, I'm interested. So anyways, the reason I say this is because I was viewing these people that were they were dancing, and they were so connected and so good and in tune with one another, and they were dancing, and they both looked like they had this similar routine. So I was like, oh, okay, interesting. And then this man asked me to dance, who's like 35 or whatever, and I'm like, okay, this is weird. But anyways, I go and dance, and I'm dancing how I thought a salsa would be like played out in my brain. Granted, I've never salsa'd before. I've never danced a salsa before, like in a traditional environment, like actually learned properly. It was just in my own like makeshift brain. I was like, this seems right. And I wasn't really worried about like what I was supposed to do because I was like, I'm just feeling the music. I'm just having fun. And this man was getting frustrated with me because he would start dancing with me and then he would stop and he would force me to stop and he would look at me and go like this. He wouldn't say anything in Spanish. He would go like this. I was like, okay. And then we'd start dancing again, and then he would stop. And then he'd go like this and get really frustrated. So after like the third or fourth time that happened, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm doing something wrong. So I was just like, thank you for the dance. And then I left. The guy was not super pleased with that. He like came back to our table, but I just ignored him. And he tried to get Megan to dance, and Megan was like, no. It was kind of funny. Anyways, it was a very interesting cultural moment, like a cultural disconnect. Because obviously I didn't have that one crucial piece where I was supposed to know something, but I obviously didn't know it. But I have no idea what I wasn't supposed to know. So someone, please inform me. Anyways, so we go and meet our other friends, and we drink for a bit, and we chat for a while, and it was a good time. And then we decided we'd go play pool. So we went and played pool for a bit. It was really fun. The next day, we went on a catamaran cruise. And for those of you that don't know, a catamaran is basically the giant boat that's in the water. It's basically a sailboat, but the middle part of the bottom, so instead of curving down like that, it's kind of like a table and then down. The middle part is all empty. Like there's nothing here. There's just two, I don't know what they're called. I'm not a sailor. I wish I was. So we went on a catamaran cruise to like this little island that's like it's like borderline on the Caribbean. It was called Isla Mujeres, something like that. My pronunciation, not the best, but you know what I mean. It was a small Caribbean island, like maybe an hour or so away from Cancun. So we decided, you know what, while we're here, might as well just go and do it. And it was beautiful. I think out of our trip, that was the one thing that was like, I'm so glad we decided to do it, because it wasn't in our original plan. Like we booked it maybe a day before we had to leave. And I'm so glad we did it, because it was a whole tour where we would be taken from Cancun to this island where we would have lunch. And then from there we would go to the main island where we could go around and shop and see the island itself. And then we would go and, on our way to the island, we would snorkel. Yeah, and then from the island we would leave and go back to Cancun. I'd never been snorkeling before. The ocean's scary, okay? I think this is a common fact that everyone knows. Everyone knows that the ocean is scary. So I feel like it's not an irrational kind of sentiment. But I never felt comfortable doing snorkeling. Even when I went to Hawaii, I was still really uncomfortable, but I was a kid, so I had no idea what was going on. But I was scared initially, but I still did it, and I'm so glad I did it because it was such a calming and humbling experience. Like, I just felt really small in this, like, vast ocean that was freaking ginormous. But it was okay because it was so serene, so calm, so in tune. I don't know, I can't really describe it. It was a real surreal moment. I swam through like a school of fish. Like a school of fish was coming this way, and they swam around me. They didn't touch me, but I could have like breathed on it. They were so close to me. It was so cool. And the water was so warm and blue and inviting. It wasn't scary, which was really nice to like dispel all of that fear out of my body kind of thing that I've been holding on for so long. And the one thing that was like kind of sucky about the trip was like, I love boats, but boats don't love me. So I am South African, but I'm also Greek. So boating and being on boats, being on water is like in my blood. At least it should be. But when I got on the boat, I unfortunately, like, I was fine. Like, I was feeling fine, but I really had to go to the washroom. And the washroom was below deck, and you had to, like, it was fine. But it was kind of small. And on a catamaran, the waves were really big. There was a lot of movement. But on a catamaran, it's mostly stable, for the most part, when you're above sea level. When you become below sea level, all bets are off. I got sick for a little bit. It wasn't cute. I didn't have a fun time. Since the catamaran is like totally open and exposed on the top, there was no shade, I was really, really afraid of getting burnt. So I spent the second half of the trip kind of keeping it more low-key. I didn't want alcohol. No, because I spent the previous night with Megan, like, dancing it up, having a good time, and I was like, oh, no alcohol, please. And they kept offering it and offering it and offering it. So funny. Yeah, I spent the second half of the trip on the back of the boat, and it was a beautiful experience, like, still, regardless that I was on the back of the boat, like, underneath a canopy. It was so serene and stunning and mystifying. We saw turtles. I think someone saw a dolphin at one point. I'm not sure. I don't really remember. But it was gorgeous. And I had a moment where everything just felt right. Everything felt like where I was supposed to be. Very calming feeling. The island that we went to, also gorgeous. It was brightly colored. Things were exciting. There were always like lively sounds around us. It was a beautiful, beautiful place. The ocean was like crystal clear, blue, turquoise, or as Megan likes to say, turquoise, turquoise water. And wow, it was such a unique experience. And I'm so glad we decided to go on it, even though I did get sick. And Megan got her period, which was not fun. So, other than that, though, it was great. Overall, I have to say, Mexico is a beautiful place with beautiful people and a beautiful culture that I've always loved. But I'm glad I finally got to experience it firsthand for the first time. And I got to do it in a place with my best friend, which was amazing. And I wouldn't want to do it with anyone else. So, that's pretty much it for today's video. I've talked for a long time and I'm kind of sick of hearing my own voice. Let me know if you prefer this style of video versus my like Uclulit vlog style-ish video where I was talking to you guys as stuff was happening. Let me know what you prefer. But yeah, that's all I have to say about Mexico. I wish I could go back. Every time I get kind of sad, because right now it's raining, I'm looking outside and it's raining. Every time I get kind of sad that I'm like stuck here doing school and like not having the best time ever, I just close my eyes and I like think of myself back on that boat, on listening to the beach and the ocean and the birds. So that's where my happy place is now, which is a pretty good one, I think. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. 96% of you. I do see the numbers, so let's try and fix that. If you like me, if you like my storytelling personality here, there, and everywhere, please be free to stick around. If not, that's totally cool too. Volleyball content is on the way. Do not worry. I am working on it. I am brainstorming. If you have any ideas for me, if you want to see certain videos from me and my channel, let me know, okay? I always love new ideas, wherever they may come. So, let me know, and I will see y'all in my next one. Good job, team. I decided to film today because I liked my outfit, only this part, thankfully. So I decided to film today. Life has been chaotic, and I'm filming this right now. I've come back already, and when I came back, it was like 2 weeks ago. So it's not my fault. I had to like hit the ground running. A small child in Mexico City airport basically harassed me, and the parents did like nothing. And I didn't know how to say stop it in Spanish, so I just kind of like kept moving over seats, and then he kept like following me. He was like 8, but it was weird.